7 o'clock. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Groveland Township regular board meeting for January 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. Okay, and Janelle, would you please take the roll call?
DePalma,
Here.
Zach,
Here.
Bills,
Here.
Christopher,
Here.
Nizzarelli, here.
Okay, and I'll apologize in advance because I got kind of swamped with some stuff that I'll talk about later, so I didn't have the chance to have our pre-meeting to make sure we had everything on here we wanted. So there's a couple little changes. Besides the agenda that you have here, underneath D under new business, I should have had item E. And Janelle was good enough to find the original for me to discuss the fire study that for the individual that I talked to. So other than that, I don't have any other changes to the agenda unless anyone else does. If not, then a motion to be in order to approve the agenda as submitted with the addition of E for the fire study.
It's your motion.
That's my motion.
Support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, thank you. All right, we move on. And then we have the approval of the minutes for the December 12th meeting. You should have a copy of those. Are there any questions or comments on those? They looked okay to me. I didn't catch anything if there was.
Bob, will you just, if you don't mind, look at number or letter G and just make sure you had everything in there that you would like. That was the approval of fire one and the build of the new foundation.
Hang on.
Just make
On the
sure.
minutes,
Page 4.
Yeah.
Pretty basic, but just.
Yeah.
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
As we're used to everything you give us. So, thank you. It was good. I think that's very accurate. So if there are any other questions or comments on anything, otherwise approval of the minutes for the December 12th meeting would be in order.
A motion to approve the December 12th regular township board minutes as submitted.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved, and we need to do a fire board meeting as well.
I will make a motion to approve the Groveland Township Fire Board regular meeting minutes from December 12th, 2022.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Go
I
ahead.
think Jim.
I'll second that. I beat you, Ted.
You did. That's good.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved. Thank you, everybody. Next, we move on to financials, budget amendments. Patty?
Didn't have any at this time.
Oh, I know. It's always nice on the first budget of the year. We don't have any amendments. So I love it.
The accounts payables were for 22,727 and 27 cents. And 249 was 800. That was a permit fee
Okay,
refunded. And for the fire, the amount for the month was $13,059.44.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable as submitted.
There's a second.
that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, Janelle, would you please take a roll call?
Zach,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes,
Nizzarelli,
Yes,
DePalma.
Yes. Okay, motion passed. So that takes care of the financial reports.
Now the revenue and expense.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We still have it.
Yep, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does anybody have any questions or? I'll make a motion to approve the revenue and expense report as submitted. For the period ending 12/31/2022.
Any questions or comments? It's just a report, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And Teresa, did you want to do the investment report?
Oh. There you have it.
I think that does it all. Yes, we have money and we paid the bill.
Yeah. There's really not a whole lot else to say other than it's,
Mhm.
looks good.
Did you pull those ones on the fund we talked about out of?
Ken, the auditor said to wait,
Okay,
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 so, for the
It's-
new fiscal year.
okay, good enough. Okay, just a little under 9 million in there. Okay. Any questions on it? Okay.
Nice number.
Yeah, I'm feeling it's
Yeah, I
gonna
guess it
get
is,
faster.
isn't it? Okay, presentations, we have none for tonight. Public hearings, we have none for tonight, and unfinished business, we have none for tonight. So we'll move on to new business, and the first item on the agenda is discuss the work budget for the budget workshop. And I think I sent out a memo the other day, and Gina, I got yours, that you had your suggestions on it. I haven't got any other ones yet, but we need to pick a day to do this.
I will get you one. I just didn't.
Can you give me the budget thing? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
let's-
looking for.
Because you gave us till the 18th.
Yeah, and so.
We need to pick a date.
We need to pick a day though, because I need to do some stuff before the 18th to get it ready for that. And
Mhm.
I'm getting kind of backed up on some things because of the township property right now. So what day looks good for everybody? You want to do it like the 25th, do you think, if we can make that?
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday?
That's a Wednesday,
Is that January?
January, yes.
I'm sorry, January, yeah.
I am.
Or you want, actually, maybe, you know what? Why don't, is this okay? Can we leave me a little wiggle room? Because I got a lot on
Do the
the
first
plate
one.
right now. Can we do it in February, maybe like the 8th or something?
Oh, wait, you want to do February 1st?
What do you mean? Because the meeting will be the 13th.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Okay.
Budget,
Is the first okay with everybody?
it is with me. It's good with everybody else.
Far enough away.
Okay. What, you want to make it like 10 in the morning? Does that sound okay?
Whatever
Does
you
that
want.
work for you, chief?
Budget
Okay.
workshop.
Sure. 10 a.m. until done. But hopefully by then we'll be in good shape. Okay. If anybody else has any suggestions of anything you want me to look at in the budget workshop, if you can drop me an email in the next week or so. Gina sent me one that I've got, so I'll put them all together and then I'll make our agenda for the meeting and try and get the rough on it. And Patty will get me the preliminary numbers so we can make the final for it. So that's going to be February the
10th. Or
first,
first.
yeah.
First.
Two.
My meeting. And at my meeting, you're going.
And it'll be.
Gourmet lunch.
We'll just breeze right through because it'll all be done.
Okay, here's the next one is an item I had asked for, discussing the sewer study money. We had gone back and forth and I got kind of antsy and nervous that the county might convince us into trying to pay for something we haven't agreed to yet, because frankly, the last discussion with Brian Coburn is that when we revise the numbers, because the county's taken so long to look at the sewer study, that I seriously question whether or not the sewers can be done economically, because originally we were going to have like $2.5 million from the DNR for their sewers being redone in the parkland. They couldn't wait any longer. That's a big hunk of money. We've started to work on the properties for the township development for our industrial park. And I'm a little hesitant to want to say, let's build the park and then go back to everybody a year or two later and tell them they all got to pop for sewers after they put a septic system in. And I just don't see the volume of numbers. One of the other things that came up is originally they kept on telling us that once you ran sewers down Dixie Highway, the mobile home park over there by the Renaissance Festival, the DNR would tell them they had to hook up. So they told me a couple of times. So when we started going over revising the numbers, I said, now, is that still the case? And when push came to shove, the Row Engineering said, well, they probably would like them to, but they won't make them do it. Well, that's another 100 and something units over there. So when you start taking out 100 and something units there and taking out, 50 or 60 developmental lots in the tech park and taking out $2.5 million here for the DNR, I said, I don't know if the thing works. And so we're supposed to decide by April 1 whether or not the project's going to go or not. And my hesitancy is that I don't see how it can. And right now, the sewer correspondence from Brian on the last email I had said that, well, they're kind of leaning now towards trying to make Ortonville and the village hook up first instead of us and Holly.
Right.
And so I am hesitant to want to commit dollars to a project that is that loosely funded right now, but we'll see what they come up with.
Another transportation issue.
Well, they're still trying, frankly, to go back to the feds and get more of the money from the feds. So I don't want to say it's not going to happen at all, but certainly the preface that we used to get it started, where we had a whole bunch of things that would have helped fund it right away and made the numbers look good, have kind of vaporized because it's taken them so long to get this project started. Now, if they can pull a rabbit out of the hat and get the feds to pay for the first phase of it, well, then I think it's great to have the potential, because environmentally, it would be better for the north end here to have whatever develops on Dixie Highway going through the sewer project rather than potential for septic doing it. I seriously question whether they'll be able to do it. So right now, the last thing we have is we never signed the agreement to get the half of the money that we were supposed to get back from the county for doing the study work on this project. And it's pretty much all been spent already. Well, I think you see the last correspondence I had from the sewer department. So at this point in time, I would like us to approve submitting to Oakland County to get that half of the was about $52,000 roughly.
Okay, so we get back about 25.
Yeah, 25 or 6,000 back, which we were really going to use, I think, for your ambulance rigs, chief. So I would like to pursue that based on the correspondence, and I think you have on the sewer study money. So that is my recommendation, that we make a motion to complete the application to get half of our ARPA money back for the sewer study from the county for the sewer project study.
Was that ARPA money?
Yes, that was our money.
In fact, that was the only ARPA money I think we used. The rest of it
Okay,
is for the station for the ambulances.
okay. So if that's your motion, I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you. And is there any questions or comments from the board? If not, Janelle, would you take a roll call vote?
Bill,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Musarelli. Yeah. Tacoma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Okay. Follow up with that tomorrow. And then the next item is to discuss the speed limit signs. As you may recall, months ago, we asked about having those flashing signs that when you drive up to them, like they have in the village of Ortonville, they tell you how fast you're going. And since some people say we're speeding all the time out here, and there's no way to have a cop monitoring all of that all the time, I thought it might be a good way to try and detour it, because we don't have a whole lot of paved roads out here. So I wanted to look at the possibility of doing it on the few paved roads that we have, because you cannot put the signs up until you first post a regular speed limit sign. So if you notice, when you go into the village of Ortonville where it says 30, the little flashing signs underneath it, you have to have the posting first. So the first thing we did when we started this project is go to the road commission and say, well, we want to look at doing this. So as a test, they posted the signs for speed limit from Van Road to Fire Station 2. They put up some signs that said 55. Yeah, most of the roads out here are 55 posted, and most of the rest of them are 55 conditions permitting unposted. There's a few spots where it says 50, like Trip Road at first section, and then at the far end of Grange Hall where the curves start, if you notice, there's a sign there that says slow down to 50 so you don't go off the road. So they posted them from Van Road to Fire Station 2, and the study came back, and ironically, I know a lot of people, Kevin and I have talked about this several times, people say, oh, they're all speeding over there, and we're like, Most of the time we're on it, the guy in front of me is going about 40.
45.
Yeah. So they did a traffic study and the mean speed on Grange Hall Road in that section was actually 61.5 miles an hour, which I was a little surprised, but that doesn't strike me as excessive speeding. That's basically 5 miles an hour over, which I think most people probably do. And if you think about it, when you get on that stretch of Grange Hall Road, there's a long way that there were no signs. You probably creep up to 55 or 60 pretty easy. However, they did do the study, and I asked them about putting the speed limit flashing signs up, because I do think those are a pretty good deterrent for people that inadvertently don't realize they're speeding. And the way they set those up, if you haven't noticed that, if you were about a 19-year-old kid, you'd probably know this. If you try to make that thing say 100, it only goes about 15 miles an hour over the speed limit sign, then it just flashes little dotted lines.
Right.
Okay, so you can't use it like a time trap.
Yeah.
But it's about $5,500 to do those. And what I was going to suggest is, because I'm a great believer in no good deed ever goes unpunished, I can't see why anybody would be opposed to these signs, because I do think they help kind of slow a lot of people down that are inadvertently speeding. I was going to suggest we might try and pursue paying for the signs to put them on Grange Hall Road in the 55-mile-an-hour stretch that they did the test on. If we don't get any unexpected pushback or anything, I wouldn't mind subsequently posting Barron, posting the paved piece of Groveland and the paved piece of Oakwood, assuming Springfield or Oak Hill, I'm sorry, assuming Springfield will post their half of the road, and I haven't asked them yet. But I thought we'd try it on Grange Hall first and see if we get any unexpected pushback. But most of the people I've talked to really had the same kind of discussion that Chief Mason and I had, because I had mentioned it to some of the gals at the bank where I go in Ortonville on M15. And when we put the signs up, she said, "Thank you for posting those signs. Everybody I drive behind is going 45 miles an hour on that road, and she has to go home that way."
Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion. I know it's, if we do them all, it's probably going to be something like 50 or 60 grand, but we don't typically do a lot for traffic control. You can't post it on gravel roads because they're not posted for the speed limits anyway. I think we have a few roads and it would be a nice thing to maybe try and keep people down. Chief, you got a comment?
I was just gonna comment, like, you don't notice how often you go over the yellow stripe until it's with the bumble strips.
That's true. Yeah.
Is there any,
And now I notice every day when I turn off of Groveland on the Barron Road that rumble strip runs a little bit too far out.
is there any incentive to buy all 9? No.
No, it was just, here's how much they are. If you want 8 of them, it's 8. If you want 7, it's 7. So I thought we could put one at each end of Barron Road and kind of get a feel for it and see what it is. And then if the public asks, hey, why don't we get them? I would be in favor of doing the rest of them. Assuming in the case of Oak Hill that
Right.
Springfield would want to do it because it's kind of dumb to post one side of the road, not the other.
Right down the middle.
Huh?
Right down the middle of it.
Yes, it does.
So you're proposing that we just post the speed limit signs on Grange Hall Road at different places?
Flashing signs.
Yeah.
So
The
you have
one at they usually do them at the end,
flashing
so to be up where, when you turn the curves and it goes from 50 to 55,
Yeah,
it'll be probably there or at Fire Station 2, which is where the test actually started, and then up to here where it turns to Trip Road. And I wouldn't mind including Trip Road because there's been some complaints of speeding there, and that's actually
Right.
50 instead of 55. So if it's agreeable, I would suggest we do the little piece of Trip and that section of Grange Hall Road. Chief?
Those solar powered or they need power?
They have to be located where there is an existing speed limit sign first. And I think I've seen them both ways. I believe these are solar powered. They're
important, otherwise.
Yeah. Well, if not, they'll run them from a drop to whatever the closest pole they can get to is. I mean, but I think they run them all off of solar power. Yeah, they put them in. Yeah, I don't want to get involved in it because God forbid we'll put the post 2 inches off to the wrong side or something, So we'll have them do it. And I'm sure it'll take a few months to get it in, but.
Is there insurance in case they get like that?
Well, I would guess probably not. I know that's a good question. I hadn't thought of that because on a regular sign, when I had my bravado in that ice storm, stood off and took that speed limit sign out, they billed me for that. That was a regular tin one. It was a couple $100, I think. But I'm guessing on one of these, perhaps there's the process, I don't know, I can ask them, I don't know.
I mean, it's not super.
No, but. You know, and it probably would be, because in a lot of cases, if you look at them in the village of Ortonville, when I think about it, that flashing sign's bolted to the same pole that's got the speed limit sign on it.
Mhm.
So I think most of them are solar powered, and I think most of them would probably be covered by the accident recovery. They just don't want to pay for them to put them in, because I don't think they want 1 million people asking for them. And so if you want them, you have to kind of pay for it yourself. So I'm open to the suggestions, but I would suggest we try and post a trip and this section from the fire station to Van Road, and if it goes well, then we can decide to post the other ones later.
Has there been any, I guess the word would be complaint about folks speeding on Barron Road?
You know, ironically, no.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're speaking of.
And we don't necessarily have to do it. Part of me thinks that if we do it, somebody that'll say, well, you posted that road, why didn't you post my road? And we really only have like 4 to post.
I know it was a concern before the paving.
Right.
The few times that I've taken Barron Road,
To be honest, nobody's behind me, I end up going about 40 on it. I just don't
Yeah.
tend to speed up.
it's kind of a nice
Kinda
parkway
nice.
almost.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, we've had a lot of complaints on Oak Hill, it might be better to do. Oak Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say do all of them, just so that the standard approach to it.
2 roads, Oak Hill and
Yeah.
Grange Hall Road.
Well, but to do Oak Hill, I actually have to go back now to Springfield and ask them to go through the same process, because half the roads in their township, and I don't know if they'll want to do it. So I thought we'd try it on Grange Hall Trip first, because there've been some complaints on Trip.
We can't do it on Oak Hill on our half without,
Well, we could, but I'm kind of guessing
It's
that'll
only
just.
seasonal, wasn't complaining.
Yeah.
I just think it'll look kind of funny if we post our half, because our half will actually only be posted from
Going west.
Tire Road to Dixie.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure most of it isn't, I'm only guessing, from Dixie going into Kyle.
they won't put the sign going like back to back on the
No.
north side of the street.
No, no, you put them on each side, they gotta be by a speed limit sign, and so first, so
Yeah.
you think about it, they put them at the ends where you come into it, and they post it at first. That's what
We
we
can
can,
put it in the middle of the road.
I would, yeah, I think it should
on
go,
a rubber stick, right?
well, it should go in the middle. That's where they're starting to get, speeding up, right?
In Cleveland, they have cameras on them and they will mail you. a
The
ticket.
ticket, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do that on the freeway in Illinois. Yeah. So I don't know, my suggestion is we do Trip Road and this section that we tested on Grange Hall. And then if we don't have any objections, we can probably look at the other ones, posting them later. I just don't want to do it till we put it up. I only say this because I don't know why somebody would be opposed to it, but you watch, we'll put it up. Somebody will come up with an objection to having it posted, right?
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
They seem to be popular in the village. I know, I think they curb speeding in the village.
Yeah, it makes me aware when I go.
Yeah, because you do it inadvertently.
Right.
They haven't.
Is that the most used stretch of Grange Hall?
This
Or,
piece, the Grange Hall is used pretty much all the way. It's the main cut through in the township, and a lot of it goes out on Trip Road. And I have had a few people, because of some new homes there, ask if we would do something, but
yeah,
this is what I think we can do.
and it's more residential, so it, like, I think that's a great place to put it, because people might be going 55 and not realize they have to slow down a little bit.
On Groveland Road, the lady that lives at the supervisor's house complains to him all the time. And I tell her I have enough complaints, I don't need any more. So that's I think we start, we don't have that many roads. It's not like we're gonna have to, well, they'll have to do Trip Road. Will
So
be
there's
2.
4.
Yeah, and they'll have to do Groveland, Grange Hall at each end, that'll be 2 more. And then we'll see what it's like, and if
Okay,
people
so that's
like it, we can
4
find out if we
signs.
want to do the rest.
Right.
At about 5,500 apiece. And if it's like everything else in the sign department, it probably will take us 5 or 6 months to get them in, because it took that long to get the test set up, really.
Okay,
So that's my recommendation. If you want to make a motion that we acquire the flashing speed limit signs for the ends of Grange Hall where the test was conducted, and for Trip Road, which is kind of the extension of it.
I will make a motion that we approve the funds for speed limit signs with the flashing speed limit that you are actually going on Grange Hall and the road. $5,500 a piece and
Mhm.
4 signs.
Okay, I'll get that over to Alex.
I'll
On the floor.
support.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board?
No.
No,
If not, all in favor, oh, I'm sorry, take a roll call, it's money.
Christopher,
yes.
Lizarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes,
Zach,
Yes,
Bills,
Yes,
okay, we could take that out of infrastructure money too, okay, Patty? I think that's
Okay.
a good places any.
mhm.
Next item is to discuss the MTA conference. I think you all got information. Is there anybody that wants to go to the conference this year?
I would like to go.
Okay. Anyone else?
Then I'll do it online.
Okay. Then we can approve the mileage, the lodging and the fee for you. You want to go to the whole seminar?
Yes, well, so they're recognizing all of the graduates of the Township Governance Academy.
Mhm.
So I'm finishing this year.
Ah, good.
Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think I started in 2019, I think.
19, okay.
Yes. Did most of the classes with the premium pass online and completed all the things that I needed. I have 2 classes left that were not online earlier and they offered them only in person a year ago. Then they snuck in and put them online and didn't tell me. So I just figured that one out and yeah, so I'll be finishing those and then they do recognize the graduates in person at the conference.
I would make a
So-
motion to approve paying your mileage, your lodging and the fees for that, subject to you telling Neil that he must get a picture of you to run in the township magazine for us.
yes.
Okay,
I will try to pressure the man.
all right. So that's my motion. Is there a second to it?
Second that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, could you take a roll call vote on it?
Lizarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher.
Yes.
While we're on the subject of conferences, Janelle, I'd like to, she's shown interest in going to the clerking conference in March
Mhm.
in Mount Pleasant
Oh, that's
with
close.
the Michigan Municipal Association of Clerks. So I know I didn't have it on the agenda, but I'd like to,
Add it? Sure.
yes, and get her signed up
I think
and
it'd be great.
it's a week conference. And yes, I think she'll. do
That's Mount
great at it.
Pleasant, Michigan,
Yes,
not Nevada.
Wow, I am very familiar.
and
They
it's,
changed location to Oahu.
Oh, wow.
yes, and it's in the Comfort Inn, not the other place, Janelle.
You mean the wayside?
Or the Soaring Eagle Casino.
So my motion is that Janelle go to the Clerks Association, Michigan Municipal Clerks Association. I'm drawing a blank on what it's called. It's not really a conference, it's the education. What is it?
Clerks Institute.
Clerks Institute, thank you, Teresa. For 1 week
So
in
they-
March with,
Institutionalized.
Yeah.
Works.
they
They
might,
keep changing stuff that might, yeah.
you never know. They, with meals and mileage and her hotel and all. And the cost of
Okay, I think it'd be, it's good investment.
so that's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Regina, any questions or comments from the board?
No.
If you take a roll call vote?
With a warning to Mount Pleasant.
DePalma,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes,
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Lizarelli,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the one that I said I had to add, and I apologize, I didn't catch this earlier, but I was on the phone most of the day with people today, and I just didn't get an opportunity to, so I apologize, but I had acquired a letter and had a follow-up conference with the individual that does the fire department studies. It's clear we got to figure out what we're going to do going forward. And I want an objective third party. He's got no specific direction for me that he has to do except to look at the fire department and decide if there's something we can do differently that's better. And if not, Then we've got to figure out what we're going to be doing with the millage on the fire department. I think going forward, it expires. You know, in 24, we don't want to wait till the end to decide something on it. So with that, I would like to hire, what do I do with this piece of paper? Here it is, Rich Marinucci. He came very highly recommended by the White Lake Township Supervisor. And I apologize, I don't know where I put his resume right now, but he's got pretty good, darn good set of credentials. He's been chief 2 or 3 places. He does these studies for a number of communities. He was out on the East Coast doing one recently. And he's offered to take a look at our operation and get back to us with anything he thinks might be appropriate that we could do for a fee of $4,000. I think this is money well worth it. If nothing else, we have to have, I think, an objective eye on the fire department that isn't biased by anything we might already have thought ourselves, and have the opportunity to look at it. Because if we don't see something that would save the money, we have to figure out, I think, what the millage is going to be going forward. So I think we should do this, and if the board agrees, I will make a motion that we hire Richmond Marinucci to do an evaluation of our fire department. I don't think it's a time pressed, but I'm pretty flexible on fitting it in whenever he thinks he can, and whenever the chief thinks he can accommodate him.
So I know that I was in on one of the meetings that you had with him, and I had mentioned to him that I'm big on education, and that I wanted him to make sure that he included in his estimate of the hours a couple of face-to-face meetings with the public, so that
I think
his
we can have those
findings
feedback.
can be presented to the entire township as a whole for any of the people who are interested in seeing, you know, how did he come about doing this? What were the results? And because I think it's important that the residents also get to be, you know, informed about what's this process and what did he come up with, and that they have a chance to ask questions and raise concerns that, you know, they may have at that time. So I don't know what his 40 hours that he's saying are, but as long as, you know, I'd like it on record that I also want him to present, you know, maybe that's here or, you know, at Camp Tamarack, that building up there, you know, wherever we feel like we need to be. That should be a part of this, even if it's above and beyond his 40 hours. I don't know where that fits in, but that would only be, you know, an extra few hours,
Yeah.
right?
I will, when I get back to him, if the board agrees, I will make sure he understands we want to have a public meeting with an opportunity for input on it and feedback.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
good point. Okay. Did I make the motion?
You did make the motion.
Does somebody want to second it?
I'll-
Okay, and I agree with the amendment. Okay.
Then I will support the motion as amended.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Anything you want to say at this point, Chief?
We're an open book and
Okay.
willing to look to see if someone can see something that we haven't seen, and if
He's been given no
comes up with a good
specific,
suggestion, that's great.
yeah, he's been given no specific direction from me. I've been talking to you about it all along. So, okay, well, with that, we'll take a roll call vote on it.
Pat,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Lizarelli. Yes. Palmer.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Well, let's cruising along here tonight, folks. Next is miscellaneous reports, Holly Area Youth Assistance.
Oh, I don't really have anything on that this point in time. So. Okay,
Okay,
that was easy. Yep.
easy, yeah.
Brandon Groveland, basically, tomorrow is a meeting, but they have a couple of programs going on. Love and Logic is going to be offered virtually. Something called Girls Stand Strong for girls in 6th through 8th grade. The swim program that they held at the high school pool on January 3rd and 4th was very successful. It was totally sponsored by BGYA. And there's been a lot of, you know, quite a few referrals, in my opinion. 23 referrals is a lot for a month. But they also specifically thanked those who came to the annual breakfast at the last meeting I was at. So Bob and Patty, they appreciated you both being there. And they're working on the annual volunteer breakfast for anybody who volunteers and all the, local representatives and stuff. That will be held at the end of March or very beginning of April, and the youth recognition night is April 27th with more details to follow.
Oh, they'll send us something. They'll do that at the high school. right?
Yeah, well, they did it at the Edna Burton Senior Center last
Oh, okay.
April
Yeah, that's right.
in the
yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
So
That's probably
That's-
where it'll be again. but-
probably, that was a good one. All right, so that's it.
Okay, thank you. That covers Brandon Youth, right?
Mhm.
Okay. But you'll get a kick out of this, so I have to say this before I forget. When we were at the meeting, Patty and I, for the youth counseling stuff, where was that? It was
In Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, yeah. I'm sitting next to Bob MacArthur, right?
Mhm.
And I'm talking to him about the sewer study. And I said, you're gonna love this. I said, apparently you guys are going first now, because that's what they told me. They've decided they're probably gonna see if the village wants to go first. And he says, well, I'm on the planning commission of the village. I said, and you don't know about it, right? So it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens between now and April. I just thought you should know that. Okay. Planning commission, anything there, Jim?
Bob, nothing new.
Okay, I should tell you that yes, today and last week in particular, I've been on the phone and emailing back and forth to Will, because one of the things that concerns me is the fiasco with the Renaissance Festival this year, and the fact that we never got the suggestions back that they were going to give us for whatever Jim Peterson thought was supposed to be done at the entrance gate. They never gave the analysis of what they saw to Fishbeck for their design. And so I had an email today from Fishbeck that Will commented on, and I put a response to him and said, we need to talk about this. But Kathy Parker came in and said that I didn't realize that she got very sick right after the festival and was hospitalized for a while. And you could tell she's still not quite back. She's having some difficulty walking in that. But I had a discussion with her and her son who does the parking, and said, it just can't go on like this. It has to be fixed. And nobody got back to me with the daily head counts. Still haven't got it. And I never got the suggestions, whatever it was that Peterson was going to do. Still haven't got it. And we have to get it fixed. And one of the comments that makes me the most nervous is Kathy's son said, well, part of the problem is we had so many people show up in the morning at 10 o'clock. We just could not move them into the parking lot fast enough. And that's why it got backed up right away to the fire station. And eventually it went around Grange Hall Road, past Knoxville, I think, to Fagan Road. And so, and I'm going this way, it went up Dixie, over the viaduct, down onto Dixie. I mean, it was just a colossal mess, Kevin.
I think that's Google telling everybody how to get there to beat the traffic zone too, because previous years, we never had anyone coming down Larry Road. They were back all the way back up.
And when I went to check on it during the festival on one of the weekends, he told me, don't go out on Dixie, you won't get out. I went the other way and all the back roads were just a line of cars. So the whole thing's just a huge cluster mess. And I don't believe there's any way to fix Google not doing what it's supposed to do automatically. So I don't know what's going to happen. Will sent me an email. I told him we need to talk about this because Kathy Parker's son said, I don't know how we fix it. There's just so many people that showed up in the morning. You can't move them in fast enough. And I'm sorry, but to me, these all sound like, yes, those are festival problems. If you can't move them in fast enough, your job is to figure out how to do it. Now, one of the things I found out in the last meeting with Kathy and her son was, I didn't realize this, but all those concession stands in there for food, I thought somehow they all got tied to the Renaissance Festival, and whatever their take was, a piece of it went to the Renaissance Festival. But with the exception of the franchises that Kathy and her son run in there, all the rest of those booths pay a flat fee, like, I don't know, $1,200 or something to be there for the festival. And so he said, the booths are all at capacity when that happens. We can't sell anymore because there's so many people on those days that they can't make any more and have any more people in line than what they already have. And when my son went there once, he said, it was like an hour and a half to get, I don't know, chicken or turkey drumstick or whatever it is, So the requirements for what the festival gets its money on, which is apparently the ticket sales, and what the concessions inside get their money on are really not coordinated, if you know what I mean. It's not like, well, if we could spread that traffic out over it, the concessions would all make more money, right? But the festival gets the ticket money anyway, whether they can get in or not, I guess. And I think that's part of the problem. So I don't know how they fix that, because I believe this is his biggest festival and has the highest amount of traffic. I know they don't want to have date specific tickets, but in some of the discussions we had with Fishbeck and Will, I honestly think that is the only way to ensure that the daily head count gets to a number that they can actually manage, which is why I wanted the head count number. I know in the early days of the festival, they get like 18 or 20,000 people a day, and it's walk in the park going in there. But you get towards the last 3 weekends, and I think they're getting around 30,000 people a day, and you can't move in there. So I don't know what's going to happen. I sent something back to Will today, and I haven't heard back from him yet. But Fishbeck wants to have a meeting to go over all of this, like now, January, so that we're not up against the clock by the time they get ready to open the festival again, which I agree. Will has said that he doesn't think the court will be as receptive to what we would want to do if we wait till the end again. And so he wants to try and push it forward. Now, I remind everybody, we tried moving this up last year. We started having meetings in October. It was the festival that kept on dragging it out until literally the weekend they were opening. Okay. And a couple of things became apparent. When you decide we have to do something with them, we have to be excruciatingly explicit in how we want that implemented. For example, the tickets gates would be closed because the traffic got past the 2 mile mark, right? And they would close the gate, but all the people on the road would be asking the deputies at the festival, why can't I get in? I see empty parking spaces. Well, on 2 of the days, they were parked up by about 2:30. Okay. What has to happen in order to clear the mess is you have to make everybody immediately just drive past it and go on it. And I know in the past, the state police have been able to do it. And we had a couple of other errors. We had a sergeant on the afternoon shift at the MSP post that started, when I had 9 tow trucks here, that started telling them, oh, you can't tow, that's up to us. So, and I had checked in the morning, gone to the fire station and talked to a deputy, to a trooper outside, said, you guys know we're going to be towing, right? I said, oh yeah, we all got memos on it, but apparently didn't get the afternoon shift, is all I can figure. So we're going to have to make sure that everybody is intimately aware of what the requirements are going to be. And I think when the tow trucks are there, because Byers actually did a nice job. He sent 9 tow trucks, I think 9 or 10 one day, and towed 1 car before they sent them away. And the problem with that is once they get used to parking on Dixie or Laramie or Perryville or Holdridge Road, and they don't get towed, then everybody flocks to those same spots and does it. So something significantly is going to have to change. And I don't know what it is, because I have to tell you, the more I hear about it, I'm inclined to think the problem is just too big to fix with anything other than capping daily attendance. And I know they don't want to do that because they don't do it anywhere. And I can see why the Renaissance Festival doesn't want to do it, because once he sells the tickets, he's got the money anyway, right? Whether they come or not, then, because we have people all over the place that were ticked off, and we were monitoring their Facebook pages. And when they all started, the Voice of Groveland and the Voice of Holly were getting filled up with people complaining about it. And then they were complaining on Facebook on the Renaissance Festival. So the Renaissance Festival turned all the comments off. Okay. So I don't know how we get it fixed that way, except without some very clear, specific rules. A Couple of other things that happened is the no parking signs like on Perryville were little ones like this, that said no parking. I had people say I didn't even see the sign. I could see why. It looked like a little typical no parking sign. I thought they were gonna put the big one up at the end of the road that says no parking, violators will be towed, and they didn't. And that is in fact, as the road commission diddled around and didn't get the signs done right away. They were putting them up literally the weekend that they opened up. So there's a host of things that need to be changed. I do not personally think you can fix the festival unless you cap the daily attendance. And that's why I wanted the daily numbers. You could easily look at it and say, well, 18 or 20,000, the thing works great. No backup traffic. Everybody goes in. It's nice and easy. You get to around 25,000 and the whole thing falls apart, let alone 30. And so they say that the still 1999 was the biggest festival they had. And I find that hard to believe based on the traffic we had this year.
With the increased parking.
With the increased parking, yeah. So I don't know what else will happen on this. I'm still waiting for Will to get back to me because we're bouncing emails back and forth today about 16 other things. But I think we're going to try and have a meeting with them in January sometime, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'm not sure that Fishbeck feels as strongly that it can't be fixed, but when I hear them saying we just couldn't move the cars into the parking lot fast enough, and then they said they had 80 or 90 people lined up, and Fishbeck said we never saw more than about 20. Okay, and half of them, when they get these volunteer groups, if you drive by, you see it's like a 18-year-old girls in plain clothes out there, stop or come on over here, and half of them don't know what they're doing. And when we had that kind of traffic control on Dixie Highway, and the guy pulling in his pickup truck from Ohio would say, I'm turning in, and she'd say, stop, you can't do it. They'd say, screw you, and pull in anyway. And I think you have that same thing happening inside the parking lots. And clearly what they thought they marked was enough for the parking control in there. I don't believe Fishbeck thought it was anywhere near adequate for delineation on the road and the parking slots and stuff. It's just a huge colossal mess.
As a member of the board and the planning commission, and then personally what I do, I can't think of a better poster child for incompetence. And I quite mean it, and I'll go on record. It's the Renaissance Festival. I find them dangerous, and I think they are using our goodwill. So you can sue them a week ago to if it'll help to guarantee. I'm all for it.
The only reason I'm willing to have another meeting is I think Will feels if we have one early on and I'll outline what it is, then we can go to court, because he said the judge will be hesitant. It's two things. The judge will be hesitant to do something without some effort being made at trying to rectify it. And secondly, the judge doesn't want you to go in there and just say, this thing's a mess and I don't know how to fix it, because he doesn't know, right? Or she doesn't know.
But that's not our.
What he's saying is, if you want the judge to help you, you need to tell him what he has to do so that it makes sense on how to get it fixed. You have to tell them they can't manage the traffic and there's no way to get it off the road, or it's capped at this much effectively daily or whatever. And then the judge can go, okay, I understand. But if you just go in there and say it doesn't work, we don't know why, we're going to get a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It'll be hard to get a judge to make a decision.
And inevitably, we issue the permit. So we need to either do it weekly, or if they're not compliant, they don't get the permit. Period.
Yeah, but here's the problem. If we don't get a judge's court order to help us, it'll be limited to what we could do. I can tell you right now, I'm confident if we said, you're not doing this right, we're closing your parking permit and you can't have your festival, I'll guarantee you, there'll still be 250,000 people showing up to the festival. Yeah, right.
So
We need to have the power of a circuit court judge to say, the Renaissance Festival, you will comply with A, B, C, D, and E. And when you don't, you will be shut down. And I'm going to give an order that tells the Oakland County Sheriff or the Michigan State Police, you padlock that gate and nobody gets in there then.
also Google, you can pay Google to pass by your place of business. And they also do traffic updates regularly on Google Maps.
Wow.
So there's no way that you can tell me that you can't tell Google not to send them a certain way.
Really? I've never.
Yes, you can pay
Okay.
Google to have them pass by your place of business. Yeah, it does. Absolutely. It's Google. Hello? Just
So-
don't tell them what party you're with.
Is Kathy gonna get you, did she agree to get you the numbers?
I don't have them.
Well, no, I mean, when she left
Did
the
she?
other day, no?
No, she started saying like, well, maybe we could do something to move the traffic to the beginning. And I'm like, this has been 20 years. We've known the last 3 weekends are the mess. They've tried adding other weekends, and part of the problem is they can't because they conflict with some of their events. They, out here, they conflict with Back to the Bricks and with the Woodward Cruise, okay? And now with the off-road four-wheel event, right? So when they try adding it, what happens is, I think what happens is people decide, well, it's open 7 or 8 weeks. I got my tickets. I can use them anytime. And then when it gets close to the last 2-3 weekends, go, my God, I got to use it now. I spent, I think it's $27.50 for a ticket and I can't use it, right? And that's why it gets jammed up. They have to change, I think, the way they distribute their tickets and make people do it. They even had, Janelle was monitoring this for me. She was looking at the Facebook for the Renaissance Festival, and their patrons were saying, this is ridiculous. I've been in line for
Even
2
the
hours and I
vendors
can't
this
get
year were
in.
Saying they were done. Yeah, vendors were saying they were done this year when I went. But it's interesting why they don't do that, because the weekends are themed. You could really easily print the ticket for the weekend you want to attend, you know, the puppy weekend or the pirate weekend.
And if it's the
Yeah.
fact, if that's really the reason the last ones are full, then they need to move the Highland Fling or whatever it is up earlier in the prognosis. But what you can see, the attendance is light in the first couple. It's around 18 or 20,000 and there's never a hitch. The traffic doesn't back up. People get in, there's no problem. And you could say, well, they shouldn't be pulling out, but what happens when the line gets that bad? People come down Grange Hall and then go over to Perryville and try to cut into the line early, you know, and when they can't fit in, they're hanging in the other lane, and now both lanes are blocked up, right? It's just a colossal mess.
And they don't put Dixie Highway and do a U-turn and get in the other
Right.
road.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know how to fix it now. It's
We
so
have had
bad.
several accidents because of that.
Yeah, and I don't know how to fix it. It's so bad. I think the attendance has to be capped at some kind of, tickets have to be specific to a day. And there has to be a cap on them that you know is going to work,
Mhm.
huh?
Or they go elsewhere.
Or they could go elsewhere, really, yeah. I know when they moved the one in Florida because something happened on the grounds they were renting from the utility company or something. They got sued or whatever, they moved. But when they move, they lose a lot of attendance. And again, when I hear all of this, I go, oh, sounds like yet another problem you have.
I suspect that a few of the planning commissioners will vote that they don't want the Renaissance Festival anymore because they feel they've been lied to.
Mhm.
The problem will be, we have to be able to go in front of a circuit court judge and say, here's what we think it takes. And here's what and why we think we need it, so that we can substantiate our position. And then you can get a circuit court judge to say, this is the rules that will apply.
Mhm.
If we don't have that, it's not going to matter, because the festival's actually in Holly. Right? It's just the parking here and all the traffic problem is pretty much here. And so if we deny it, I have no doubt at all that it will still go there, because I believe what happened is when we had them closing the gate, I thought I heard her say, Jim Peterson said, no, still let him in. Bob doesn't want him not to come in. Bob doesn't want him to come in. Bob wants him to go home and get out of here.
Well, in any event, I can't say anything good about them. So whatever we got to do to ensure that the township is safe, go for it.
Well, I'll let you know what happens when I finally get to speak to Will live on it. Chief?
Actually closing the gate made it worse because no one left.
Right.
They
Yeah.
just stayed in line then.
And because what should have happened in the past, when Nate had closed the gate, he got out there to get down the road. And what has to happen is Breyer has to be standing by with 9 tow trucks. And when he tells you to move and you say no, hook him up and drag him out of here. That's what has to happen. When you pay $200 or $300 to get your car back and you're pissed off because it took 4 more hours to get it, I'll bet you don't do that again. I don't know how else to fix it. But I'll let you know what happens when I speak to Will live on it again, because I just got that yesterday, or excuse me, this afternoon. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pontificate. Anything on the BZA?
Bob. Wait a minute, that's how Jim started. But
They The only other thing I'll tell you is we are working diligently to try and get our first 1 or 2 clients into the industrial park. And I feel very, very confident. Maybe as soon as next month, we'll be able to announce publicly the first one. They seem very interested. I have another meeting set up with them. We've been going back and forth. Barry has been extremely helpful on this as well, as has Will and the gentleman who did our appraisals on the fire station and that. They've all been very good on it. We had an excellent meeting with a candidate last week when the office was closed over at the Mavis building. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm very confident we're close to getting one and maybe our first 2 clients lined up for it. When that does, it'll generate some nice revenue for the township because, as you know, our part of this is what are the tax dollars we get, and 3.5 times roughly that goes to the fire department. And the other money we get is whatever we get on the land lease because we're not selling it. I did get a preliminary analysis back from Will that did the letter he sent out to the attorney that the Michigan Townships Association uses. It said we can do what we want to do on it. He said there's a little tweak, but I'll tell you about it later. So I haven't got the details, but it's very promising. So the other issue is on the we talked about the traffic signs. I'll take care of that. And I have kind of put on the back burner getting the marketing piece for the property because I need to get these first 2 clients lined up first, but then we'll hit that pretty hard too. So that's it, except for the sewer project. And we're supposed to know by April 1 whether or not we're going to go and how much money the feds will put into it. And if the project ends up going where most of the money gets loaded to the village first, although they didn't know anything about it, we'll see what we see when we get to that point. I think that's all I probably have for today.
The no hands? No?
No has? Oh, went great. And we agreed to send in, keep it at $10 for our residents to participate. The fees have gone up some, but you have a report here on no has. You know, this thing works
This
pretty
should be-
damn
this
well.
should Be posted, somewhere. I don't know.
We can put it
Yeah.
on the web.
It's,
Yeah.
what's that?
Website.
On the website. It's-
Could give it
yeah,
to
it's
Vinny,
good
maybe when he comes in next time.
Do you have it electronically?
No, this is the way I got it.
Oh,
I don't think I have it, but he might be able to get it from.
like you
my
got it in the
phone.
mail? like
Yeah,
that?
I think somebody sent it to me. I don't.
I might have it
Do you have it?
electronically.
If you have it
Okay.
electronically, it's easier.
Yeah, but it's very popular. People like it.
Yeah.
And it cuts down on the number of calls we get that we have to ask the fire department, can you go pick up something on the side of the road, right? Because it doesn't belong there. And it's expensive, but it's better than having the ground contaminated and the
Yeah.
water source ruined. So
Right.
I think it's a great program and they're going to continue on. And as long as they do, I think we're in good shape. So if you got this report, you have pretty much the feedback on how it works. We're one of the smaller players in it, but I think it's good for our community and I think the residents enjoy it.
I saw that 37% of the people who used it here were first-time users
Yeah.
from Groveland, so that was cool.
And 55% electronics
Yeah.
from Groveland. That's what was dropped off. That's
Mhm.
a lot.
Electronics and paint are the big thing.
Batteries, is it a lot?
Oh.
Those count as electronics?
No, they're talking about computers and TVs, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, Patty, anything?
I really don't have anything. It's been quiet.
Okay.
Just,
I'm the same. It's been nothing.
All's happy and
last week.
all's happy and Groveland
Last-
tonight,
yep.
right?
it's all
Okay.
good, so good.
All right, I don't have anything else. If not, a motion in order to adjourn and reconvene for the fire department would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn and reconvene for the fire department
Is it-
board meeting.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, anybody got any questions? I didn't mean to leave you out, Dave.
Oh, yeah, public comment.
Okay. If not, okay, we'll move on.
Dave
Chief,
doesn't say
we're here and the meeting is yours.
Ended up the year with 950 calls for the year, that was 73 calls for December. It
Wow.
was
Pretty
close.
busy for December, wasn't
Currently, we're at. Casey worked last night, so we had a bunch of calls.
No.
So, yeah, what was Richard?
Got one of them, what do they call it? Call generators working for her, right?
Oh, right.
So, We're at 19 calls now. What's today's nine? About two calls a day. We'll go through. New business, I'd like to recommend hiring Shane Thatcher. I have not talked to him. He's a firefighter at EMTB. He currently just moved in with Shane, the other Shane that we have, and he's a firefighter EMT. He works a couple other different departments, and I'd like to hire him as a fill-in.
Okay. Let me make a motion. Make a motion that we hire the new Shane as a firefighter. On call, right? Is it, or filming, I'm sorry, okay. Is there a subject to him getting his shots and paperwork in? Is there a second to that?
I'll support.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No.
I'll take a roll call vote if you would, Janelle.
Bill,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Israeli. Yes. Palma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Also, one of our recent hires, Joey Kepler. He's a firefighter EMT, currently in the paramedic class. He got hired on at Waterford for full time. So currently he wants to still work on Sundays, but he's been filling a lot of open shifts during the week, so this will help us out. If
Okay. Good.
Typically, the calls are pretty much the same as we've been having for the breakup of medical and things like that. We finally got the estimate for the new ambulance in your packet.
Is that the striping here?
Yeah, I included the color that we'd like to make them, because we're getting two new ambulances in the packet. We're changing our color scheme, so Captain Williams and myself really like that, and all the firefighters like that. It's gonna be more expensive, but since we drive these trucks forever, we figured
You wanted it to look good.
we want to look good, so.
This is the one that's the new truck though, that came in white, right?
Correct, this is actually South Gates
Gate,
truck.
right.
Yeah.
They got it while we were there, and we like, oh, we really like the way that one looks, so. But ours is white, so to get it wrapped. We had approved, I think, for the lettering last month was $5,000. It looks like it's gonna cost us about 10 grand to do it, so I'd like to get approval to spend up to 10 grand on the wrapping and lettering of, which will be alpha 3, I think is what we determined.
Okay.
And that was the ARPA funds that were paying for that.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
I was just going back to the minutes from last month, so where seems like it says we approved up to 20,000 to purchase lettering chair and cot for the new ambulance out of ARPA funds.
Yeah.
You're talking about
But
that particular,
Pot and the stair
fitting.
chair came to about 15 grand, I think it was.
so those did come in at what you said.
Yeah, those were cold stone. That's right.
Okay,
It was $4,400 for the stair chair, I think, and. They get one else.
an 11, you said cot was 11,268 according to the minutes.
So if we could approve, I guess, 5 grand more, I think that would cover.
That take
Okay,
care of the striping and that.
That and
We haven't got the other one yet, right?
All right,
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve another $5,000 for lettering and wrapping of our new ambulance
Is there a second?
from the ARPA funds.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments from the board?
no,
Janelle, would you take a roll call?
Christopher,
Yes.
Israeli.
Yes.
Palma.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
Bill.
yes,
And the second report you see there is the remount. There is some additional repairs that they had to do that were not in the initial estimate. I went out.
Like
there.
buying an old car
Yeah.
and the floor pans rusted out.
So there's excessive corrosion in the compartments, as you know, that's. The underside of that is exposed to the salt and everything, so that was one of the expenses. They said there's some of the wiring behind the seat was they're unable to trace it, so there's an extra charge for that. Didn't come with batteries, so that was $590 for 2 new batteries for that. That's for the module. The charger, they say, is about $1,000, but we're pretty sure that was functioning. We just took the cover off, all it needs to be done is re-screwed on, so I don't think that's actually gonna be in there.
Okay.
And then to paint the whole truck and the cab red, so that we don't have to wrap it, it was gonna be $5,700 plus $890 materials. So the total cost of all of those, which I think will be less than that, was an additional $15,564. That does not include the lettering on the truck, though. But you won't have to wrap the truck because it will be paint. Actually, it'd be kind of neat to see which one lasts longer, the red paint or the wrap, because
Well, I know a wrap on a car, for example, if you read the articles on, it, you Google it, they'll tell you the wrap on a car is supposed to be 5 to 7 years.
that's.
And what I think happens is sometimes the edges of them might, especially where you're going down gravel
Yeah.
roads, might get the wheel well, or something on it, where paint would be just painted again.
Jim, how long have you had your wrap?
4 years now.
Yeah, is it still?
But keep in mind, you guys, ours is in the garage.
Yeah,
Ours is in the garage too. but-
That's a good point, yeah.
yeah. I mean, they say if you leave it out in the sun all day, it actually dries it out, doesn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it degrades.
But I mean, we drive them every day, so it's.
Yeah, but they're mostly in the station.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, so basically I'm asking for an additional, let's just say $15,000 for that. But for the remount. And they said, when I went out there, they said it's, and they're starting now, but they're saying 90 to 120 days for that to be done.
Oh, well, that really isn't that bad then if we get that. We'll have 2 good ambulances and we can get rid of
Two
one.
brand new ones, and
Yeah.
then we'll have Alpha 7 that's got 70,000. And then
Well, that's a low mileage.
And then maybe more than that, and then Alpha 2 has, I think, 120,000 miles.
So the one we're gonna get rid of is the one with the 200 or something on it.
Well, that's Alpha 4, that's 210, I mean, that's a trade-in, and we don't
Yeah.
get anything for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one we're getting rid of. Yeah.
I have a question, just maybe just clarification. So when they listed these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, right? Is this are we giving them an ambulance that they're
We traded
mounted?
in 2 ambulances. for
Okay.
one remounted.
So then they're finding that these are things that were wrong with the ambulances we gave them to
Just
put on
box
the
or
new.
remounting.
They take the box. They take the box off of Alpha 1, that's the one that blew the motor up. I
Okay,
was sitting at
yeah,
Barry's place for months. When they started examining it, because they didn't come out here and look at the truck, we sent them
Okay.
pictures. But when they actually looked at it, it's like, oh, there's a lot of corrosion in these panels, that's gotta be changed. And
okay,
They did say something about, they might have to reinforce the floor in the back of the truck to where the cot goes. We can use the same cot.
That would be embarrassing if you put somebody in and they fell
Well,
to
I
the
mean,
floor.
They're not rotted out, I mean,
They get weak, yeah.
but when they actually went through the truck, while I was on
Okay.
site, they said, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong.
all right, I understand.
Did Barry pick up that other ladder truck?
Yes.
Okay, and so have we given him whatever we had to give him, or,
The title, no.
okay, there's nothing left at our place that he's got to pick up, right?
Something where we went over there and ripped some more things off.
Okay. All right,
And actually, I was told, I didn't go over there, but I was told he already had the panels off the engine compartment inside, and I don't know if his mechanic's already working on it or not.
probably. That's what he wants to do with, he'll actually be potentially the 3rd tenant after Mabus and the fire station in the new tech park, because he's going to build a service garage here for his equipment on one of his lots. I actually think, knock on wood, that we got a good chance at the thing taking off pretty quick.
If we could get in touch with Barry more easily, we probably send more trucks over here. We just sent one up to Jam Best on Hill Road to fix the brakes and shocks on Alpha
Really?
2.
If
I mean,
that's
there
a
was
problem,
reason-
let me know. He's pretty good about getting back to me, even when I text him at home and stuff. But and sometimes he does take a few days.
She did bring a tank or 2 over there, because we don't have the reader that plugs into those trucks. It's a round one to
Mhm.
plug in. He told it was obviously the worst thing possible. The ECU is malfunctioning. So we think it's corrosion, but frankly, we can't find ECU, so we don't know where it is on the camera, so. We gotta figure it out. Lots of times it's just clean the contact and
Yeah.
plug it in, and it's intermittent. We only have one
You
time we
almost,
had it-
you almost certainly know that's what it's
So is
like.
that what the
Yeah.
charger found not to be operational?
No,
because
that's,
it's
this is the tanker.
That's the tanker, okay.
But his texts are very nice. Hey, I'll plug it in. It's always the ECU, like. And figures.
Barry is very good to this township,
Yeah, he is always been.
very good.
That's all I have. If there's any questions.
Well, we didn't do anything on this.
No.
We need to.
Get us approval money. Or we could just say, yeah, it's really nice, thanks, but you don't have any money.
And what fund would this come on?
Right, this, is this the one that?
The
we're paying
township
for?
is paying for that.
Out of the infrastructure money, right?
Yeah, it's all, pretty much all going to the fire
Right.
department. The ARPA
Yeah.
money.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
So
this
it's
is something
ARPA
we're
money?
already in for a penny, this
Sure,
is just
sure.
adding, yeah, because it was
Finish.
unforeseen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the additional items listed in the email from EV plus emergency vehicles to complete the extra labor and parts needed on the ambulance down there,
the remount.
the remount.
I'll support that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Board, Janelle, would you take a roll call?
Diploma,
Yes.
Bath,
Yes,
Bill,
Yes,
Christopher,
Yes.
Lizardo.
Yes.
I think that's it, unless you have anything else, Chief.
I wanted to, well, I don't think everybody, I don't know if Jim knows or Gina that Burdess left us.
Oh, that's right, I'm
And
sorry.
I-
forgot.
No, that's okay. But I also have forgot to ask you for, did he give you a letter of resignation? We should have one of those to put. in-
He was offered a higher paying job at Springfield. He's already working down there, so he left full-time here.
He's a good guy, I like him.
Full-time, and he's still working on Fridays here, so part-time.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
Friday
I like,
and Sunday.
he's a good guy.
So we have a Friday and a Sunday.
Okay, anything else?
public comment.
Any public comment?
Kevin was gonna.
James is, came by today. He's a resident. He lives on Hawley Road.
The dirt road.
Well, they're all different. You're not getting.
There's about 46 miles of them out here.
But,
Not HOL.
he's real interested in, fire departments and stuff, so, gonna do some ride-alongs. I gave him an application, so he's thinking about,
Oh, great,
Good.
great. Super.
Was, I just thought, I thought, okay, well, I was actually sitting up there for an hour and a half in my truck doing work.
Oh,
Cause I rang the doorbell, no one was there, and then I walked around and saw, oh, you're on a call. But actually, they're here. When I went to put it, I'm like, okay, I know he's in a meeting, but maybe he didn't go, and I thought I'd pull in here on my way back to that station to see if he, I thought, well, maybe he didn't come to the meeting because they're out, and he's gotta maybe stay there with the other guy.
that's why we put the
And
sign.
his truck's here,
The station's manned 24 hours a day, but we might be on a call. So.
and then I saw the ambulance here, I'm like, oh, they're not on a call, they're here.
Don't feel bad. After
Yeah.
27 years, I still drive to both stations when I'm looking for 'em.
I was trying to search them down, I was just, I didn't find stuff.
Sometimes I hide my truck inside the bay.
Yeah.
Now I'm not.
That'd be great. Okay, anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there any second to that?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Lisa, I'm the guy that called about.
Oh, you're James.
I'm